Have you ever experienced a night so surreal and terrifying that it left you questioning reality? I never imagined that one fateful evening would forever change my understanding of fear. It all began on a cold, moonless night when the neon glow of a distant carnival beckoned like a forbidden secret. I was driving home after a long day at work when I first saw it, a sprawling carnival, its lights flickering erratically as if the very electricity were on the verge of collapse. The sign, half buried in rust and grime, simply read, "Carnival of Shadows." Despite my better judgment, curiosity overpowered me, and I pulled over onto a narrow dirt road that led directly into the heart of the attraction. As I stepped out of my car, a chill ran down my spine. The carnival grounds were shrouded in an eerie mist, and the sound of distant, discordant music drifted through the air. There was an unsettling mix of excitement and dread in the atmosphere, as if every shadow hid a secret too dreadful to be revealed. I walked along a creaking wooden pathway lined with abandoned game booths and tattered circus tents. My footsteps echoed in the silence, broken only by the occasional clatter of unseen mechanisms coming to life. Soon enough, I found myself in front of an old carousel. Unlike any merry-go-round I'd ever seen, its carved horses wore twisted, almost demonic expressions. Their eyes seemed to follow my every move, and a deep sense of foreboding urged me to leave. Yet, I was drawn in by a mysterious allure. As I approached the carousel, the discordant music intensified and the air grew colder. Suddenly, the carousel began to spin, faster and faster, as if fueled by a life of its own. The lights above sputtered and flashed, casting wild, dancing shadows across the ground. I felt a strange compulsion to climb onto one of the horses. The wooden steed, though worn and splintered in places, looked almost inviting. With trembling hands, I reached out and grasped the pole, and in that moment, everything changed. The world blurred around me, and I was swept into a maelstrom of disjointed images, a montage of horror and chaos. I saw faceless clowns laughing maniacally, a series of mirrors reflecting twisted, nightmarish visions, and the sinister silhouette of a ringmaster whose eyes burned with an unholy fire. It was as if the carnival had tapped into a hidden realm of nightmares, and I was its unwilling guest. I found myself ejected from the carousel onto a cold, hard floor. The once vibrant carnival now appeared decrepit and abandoned. The joyful sounds of laughter and merriment had been replaced by distant, echoing cries and the rustle of tattered fabric in the wind. I stumbled to my feet, desperate to escape the oppressive atmosphere, and headed toward the main tent, the heart of the carnival. Inside the tent, the darkness was almost palpable. Faint beams of light pierced through the heavy fabric, revealing glimpses of old, peeling posters and carnival memorabilia. As I ventured deeper, I discovered rows of empty seats facing a stage that seemed to pulsate with a life of its own. Suddenly, the stage curtains flared open, and there stood the ringmaster, a gaunt, unsettling figure with a top hat and a cane that clacked ominously with every step. "Welcome, dear guest," he intoned in a voice that echoed unnaturally around the tent. "You have come to witness the truth behind the Carnival of Shadows." Before I could react, the lights dimmed further, and the stage transformed into a nightmarish landscape. A series of vignettes played out before my eyes, a clown with a permanent, twisted grin chasing a terrified child, a fortune teller whose crystal ball revealed unspeakable horrors, and a merry band of acrobats performing stunts that defied the laws of physics, each twist more horrifying than the last. The ringmaster continued his monologue, his words laced with an ancient sorrow. Long ago, this carnival was a beacon of joy and wonder. But a curse befell it, a curse born of greed, betrayal, and the darkest of magic. Tonight, you will see the true face of our carnival, for it is no mere collection of rides and games. It is a living nightmare, a vessel for the souls of those who have lost their way. As he spoke, the tent began to collapse around me. Panels of wood splintered, and the canvas tore, revealing a starless sky that was far colder and more sinister than I had ever experienced. I dashed for the exit, my heart pounding in my ears, only to find that the path I had taken was no longer there. The carnival had morphed into a labyrinth, its corridors twisting and turning in impossible directions. I wandered through the maze-like pathways, pursued by unsettling sounds, distant laughter, agonized screams, and the soft padding of unseen feet. Each corner I turned revealed more disturbing scenes: a clown crying silently into a broken mirror, a group of lost souls forever trapped in a loop of despair, and an abandoned ticket booth that whispered my name as I passed by. The deeper I delved into the carnival, the more I began to suspect that the curse was not just a series of random occurrences, but a meticulously designed trap. The carnival was alive, feeding off the fear of its visitors, and it intended to keep me as part of its eternal, twisted performance. I finally came upon a narrow passageway that led to an old funhouse. The moment I stepped inside, the air grew stifling and heavy with the stench of decay. Mirrors lined the walls, each one distorting my reflection into grotesque shapes. The funhouse was filled with the sound of tinkling music, but as I followed the melody, I noticed that the tune seemed to be a distorted lullaby, a dirge for lost souls. In one mirror, I saw the reflection of a young girl, no older than 10, with eyes filled with despair. She reached out as if begging for help, her face contorted in silent agony. I tried to step forward, but my feet felt as if they were glued to the ground. The girl's image flickered and vanished, leaving me with an overwhelming sense of sorrow and terror. With no other option, I forced myself to continue. I emerged from the funhouse into an open courtyard where a grotesque banquet was laid out. Tables groaned under the weight of decaying food and rusty cutlery, and at the center stood a massive cauldron emitting a sickly green light. Around it, figures in tattered carnival costumes feasted in eerie silence, their eyes empty and soulless. It was a macabre display of gluttony and despair, a ritual that seemed to summon the very essence of the curse. Desperation took hold as I searched for a way out. I recalled a faint memory from my childhood, a rumor about an exit hidden within the carnival's depths, guarded by a relic of the past. With a renewed sense of purpose, I began to scour every inch of the courtyard. Behind an old, crumbling booth, I found a rusted key embedded in the wooden frame. Clutched in its metal grasp was a small, intricately carved charm that pulsed with an eerie glow. Perhaps this was the relic I needed to break the curse. I clutched the key tightly and retraced my steps back through the labyrinthine corridors. The carnival's denizens seemed to sense my determination, their presence growing more aggressive and desperate as I navigated the twisted paths. The ringmaster's voice echoed in my ears, his words now a haunting reminder of the carnival's tragic past. Finally, I reached a heavy, iron-bound door tucked away in a forgotten corner. The key fit perfectly into the lock, and with a groan of protest, the door creaked open. Beyond it lay a narrow staircase descending into darkness, a final passage that promised escape from the nightmare above. With one last surge of courage, I descended into the depths. The air grew colder and the darkness more oppressive with each step. At the bottom, I found myself in a subterranean chamber filled with relics of the carnival's bygone days, faded posters, broken prizes, and old, dusty photographs of smiling performers whose eyes now seemed to weep sorrow. In the center of the chamber was an altar adorned with symbols of ancient rites. The key and charm vibrated in my hand, as if urging me to place them upon the altar. With a trembling hand, I did as the unspoken force commanded. The moment the relic touched the altar, the chamber erupted in blinding light, and I felt the curse's grip loosening its hold. I awoke at dawn, lying on the cold ground outside the carnival, which had vanished as mysteriously as it had appeared. I was left with only a lingering sense of dread and a haunting memory of a night filled with terror and sorrow. Though I had escaped the carnival's clutches, its echoes would forever haunt my dreams. If this tale sent shivers down your spine or sparked memories of your own eerie encounters, please let me know by liking and leaving a comment below. Your thoughts and experiences are what keep these stories alive. Stay curious, stay brave, and remember sometimes the darkness holds more than just fear.